Hey everybody, Jacob Godar here doing the GROW Comm training for landscape lighting. This is low voltage lighting. It is one of my favorite things. This is going to be part one, the intro to low voltage lighting, going over some of the things that I think are important to know, why I think this is a great service for your landscape lawn care company. This is really a cool service if you haven't broken into landscaping yet and you're just doing maintenance, but you're wanting a cool add-on where you don't need a bunch of equipment and tools to do. So let's get right into this intro. This is all hence the name low voltage lighting. And what's really cool about that makes it one, really safe to install. You aren't using full power 120 fixtures. You are taking a transformer, you're plugging it into the wall. Typically on a house, it's going to be by the irrigation box where that's plugged in. We'll hang a transformer box that transforms 120 down to the low voltage that we use in these lights. It's a very safe process. It's nice that when it goes out in the yard, any animal or pet, whatever it is that bites into that cable, it's not going to hurt them. It's so user friendly. There's just so many good things about this. Now, one of my favorite things about this service itself is when you're transitioning from not doing any project style work, maybe you only do maintenance and you're wanting some small add-ons, this is a really profitable service. It's so amazing what you can charge for lighting. It's not that you're overcharging. There's a lot of value in lights. If you just plant this plant, it makes one area beautiful. If you add lighting to a backyard, a front yard, any of this, it adds safety, it adds security, it adds things that make you feel more at ease at your home. It makes your home less dark, so if people are driving by, they can see it at night easier to family and friends to find your house number. The brilliance at night that this adds is unmatched. All of the landscaping that you do or have cannot be shown off at night without landscape lights. Yes, you might be able to see some of the stuff there. Maybe you have some soffit lights that cascade light down on some of the plantings. But for you to truly be a homeowner that's invested a lot in landscaping and to get full money's worth out of that at night, the lighting has to be spot on. So number one, it's profitable. Number two, it is extremely easy to install. This is a really big part for us. I'm really hedging this on being one of the best first services to do as a project because it's so easy to learn, it's so easy to do. This is a huge thing. You don't need the stuff you need to go out and do landscaping. Think you don't need the wheelbarrow. Maybe if you're just getting started and you are just mowing grass and you don't even have a wheelbarrow yet, it's a $100, $150 expense. You don't need that. There's so much you don't need. You don't need ladders. You don't need fancy lifts or fancy this or fancy that. You need, at a minimum, a screwdriver, a drill to mount the box on the side of a house or inside the garage, which we also do in some installs. This may be a little more complex. It's probably the hardest part of the project if you have concrete walls that you have to use a hammer drill on. So you need a drill of some sorts, and then all you need is something to cut the wire. You could just use snips. Strippers aren't a must, but you can have them to strip the wire. Dry con nuts to tie the wire together. And really, from there, you're off to the races. A screwdriver, it's such minimal things that you need. You might need that to undo some of the light fixtures to put bulbs in if they need to be put in. So it's an extremely easy service. Next, it's an extremely repeatable service. So anything that is easy to do, once you get in the habit of doing it, it's so easy to knock out time after time again because there's not many variables to it. There are some variables about going across the driveway or drilling under a sidewalk or mounting it on the concrete wall, which is a little bit harder. But it is not that hard. This is something that you'll be able to accomplish very easy. So it's easy and it's repeatable. And that's one of the things I love the most because if you're wanting to scale this service, you want to be able to get people out there doing this over and over again and having success. You don't want to be always going out to the job. I remember when I took on pavers and big stuff as my first big jump into landscaping. There were so many nuances that we had to make sure were right. There was always a headache. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying this is an easy add-on if you haven't jumped into projects yet, or a great add-on if you're already doing projects that's easy to bundle in with everything else. So repeatable, easy to learn, easy to estimate. How would you like something that you could go out and you could punch numbers into every time, and with a little bit of practice, you're gonna know that this is a really safe number. It's really, really repeatable. I could send anyone out to do this. I could send anyone out to give them this estimate with a little bit of work on the verbiage. Well, this is the service for you as well. This is so easy to estimate. That's one of my favorite things about this service. So these benefits just keep adding up and adding up. I know if you've ever worked at all and ever had a business at all, you've had a challenging client. This is also one of the services that if I had the worst client in the world, this would be the one service that I would want to do, because this is the easiest thing to impress people with. Lights have so much flash and flare, and there's so much adjustability and ease in getting it right that it is super easy to hit the nail on the head and make sure you have an extremely satisfied customer. So with all this being said, this is going to be a really, really cool course. We're going to go over several different things here. First, we're going to go over what to do on the console. Right after this intro, we're going to be jumping into that. From what to do when you're talking to a client, the things to be looking for, the things to be asking for, the things to be saying. We're going to immediately jump in the estimating process. What does that easy estimating process look like? From there, we're going to talk about how do you package up that sold job, and how do you move it to a completed job, or how do you move that information to the team so they can complete the job well. That's the other thing that I was going to mention in this intro, is it's also easy to have your team complete these jobs and you not be there. They know exactly what needs to be done, which I know that a lot of people have a challenge with their team knowing what needs to be done. Now, finally, we're going to go over how to install the stuff. We're going to go over some how-tos. We're going to go over how easy this system is. And this applies to all lighting. The only time that this might get more complex is stuff that's even out of my realm. We could do it, just haven't yet. Is when you get into multicolor stuff that is not just your standard warm light lights, when they have high dollar transformers that can allow phones to control different lights colors and different lights actual brightness and all these different things. That's a different level. I know there's going to be a little more complexity with this. We're going to stick with the standard basic. We're going to talk about the fixtures you need to pull off a really, really nice job. And if all this sounds great, if all this sounds, what's this easy service that we can just repeat, make a lot of profit on, everybody's happy in the end, people are signing with a smile on their face, or you've got half of it done and they're so excited because maybe you've got a big project going. This is really common for us. We'll have a big project going. We'll get about half of it done and we'll make it where the lights will come on at night and the people are already blown away, just excited to see the result. If this sounds like something that you're interested in, stick around for this whole course. It's going to take you through this from not knowing anything, bridge that gap, to knowing what you need to do to sell and complete these jobs without having to go through that pit of despair in between those. So follow me on this journey. This is going to be a fun one.